Hello there. Welcome back, and thank you for being here in this quiet corner beneath the sky. Before we drift further, allow the body to soften as though every muscle were exhaling. Let the day loosen its hold. Let your breath find a gentle rhythm, and let the noise of the world slip to the edges until only stillness remains at the center. Now, imagine a horizon where no dawn arrives. The sky above is deep, endless, and tenderly scattered with stars. The air feels hushed, as if even the wind has paused to listen. Darkness folds across the world, not harsh, but velvet-like, carrying a faint shimmer of distant suns, breathing slowly in the quiet. Tonight, we wander into a thought. What if the sun disappeared tomorrow? Not just the absence of light, but the gentle unraveling of everything that leans upon its warmth, the forests and oceans, the tides and the hours, even the quiet pulse of every living thing. This is not a single instant, but a slow, wide tide of change, moving through light, through shadow, and finally through silence. What would the world feel like if the guiding glow were gone? Would the night open to reveal a sky we have never truly seen? Or would Earth fall softly into an endless dream of dark and cold? And as you listen now, perhaps in a dim room, perhaps in the soft weather of your own night, know that we share this same moment under the thought of a sky without a sun. If journeys like this bring you calm, you are welcome to stay. No rush, just a quiet seat by the thought of a fading light. So, let the mind drift with the rhythm of vanishing glow. And together, we will take a gentle walk into this story, like a tide that knows its way into the dark. Before we imagine the silence of a vanished sun, we drift first into the tender hush of its rising, familiar rhythm of a world waking. The sun lifts slowly above the edge of the earth, and its golden light spills gently across the wide curve of land and sea. It does not arrive as a sudden blaze, but as a soft unfolding, a veil of warmth, slipping over mountains and rivers, touching leaves with a shimmer so light that even the shadows lean toward it. The oceans glisten in silver threads, each wave a mirror for the pale glow, while valleys and fields breathe in the new color of morning. The sky itself seems to sigh, releasing the weight of darkness, offering the world once more to the quiet hand of day. In this calm expansion, the rhythm of life begins, again, not rushed, not forced, but steady, like the turning of the planet beneath. Birds rise with the brightness, their wings carrying them into the pale air, their voices scattering the remnants of night. Flowers uncurl as though they remember a song only the sun can sing, leaning toward the warmth that feeds them. Trees hold the glow in their leaves, weaving light into the hidden streams of their own breath. Beneath the surface of the oceans, creatures stir with a faint shift of heat, moving in patterns shaped by the golden tide that reaches even into the depths. All of it bound together by the gentle circle of day and night. The circle is so familiar that it feels eternal, yet it rests entirely on the presence of this single star. Light carries not only brightness, but the rhythm of time itself, carving the day into hours, dividing life into moments of waking and resting. Without it, the patterns would unravel, the song of time would lose its measure, and the quiet order of the world would begin to fade. Still here and now in the hush of dawn, that thought is only a shadow, at the edge noticed, and then softened by the comfort of light. Long ago, when words were still close to silence, people told stories of the sun as a spirit that died each night and was born again with morning. They whispered that each sunrise was not simply light, but resurrection, a gentle return from darkness. The horizon became a doorway, and through it, the world was remade again and again, as though night itself were only a pause in the breathing of the sky. In this story, the sun did not merely shine. It lived, it rested, it rose, carrying within it both the memory of death and the promise of return. And so, every dawn was a beginning, every dusk an ending woven together in the endless fabric of renewal. To watch the sun climb is to see more than light. It is to witness the earth itself opening its arms to warmth, allowing rivers to flow, forests to stir, and oceans to swell. The glow rests upon all things, equally the smallest insect hidden in grass, the tallest peaks lined in snow, the deep waters holding schools of silent life, and the fragile pulse of human hearts, all of them held within one golden law, the law of light, steady and silent, guiding without demand. The sun becomes a thread, stitching together every form into a single cloth woven from brightness and shadow. And yet, as this light spreads so faithfully, a quiet thought drifts in with it, delicate as a feather. What if this rising were the last? What if tomorrow the glow did not return? If the horizon remained empty and the earth turned beneath a sky without fire? The body resists the image, as though every breath is made of sunlight and cannot imagine its absence. Still the question lingers softly, not to disturb, but to remind even the most certain rhythms are fragile, even the most familiar light can be lost. The awareness of that fragility does not weigh heavy. Instead, it deepens the presence of what is here now. The leaves gleam more tenderly, as though they know they are painted for a fleeting moment. The air holds its warmth like a secret precious, because it may not always be so. The horizon glows not only as a sight, but as a gift suspended in time. The cycle of day and night, so steady, so silent, becomes a miracle, its ordinariness transformed into wonder simply because it continues. And in this thought, the earth turns quietly, as it always has within the embrace of its star. The dawn lingers, and with it, every form of life breathes in unison, held in the soft geometry of light and shadow. The sky is both eternal and delicate, both certain and vanishing. The sun rising once more becomes not just a source of warmth, but a reminder of impermanence, a thread that could one day unravel. So, as the glow settles deeper upon the world, the idea rests gently beside it. This morning has come again, but what if one day it does not? And from the hush of dawn, the story drifts onward, as though light itself were guiding us to the next thought. If the sun were to vanish, the light that binds the world would end not with a roar, but with a sudden stillness, as if a candle had been blown out by an invisible breath. One moment, the horizon would glow with its familiar warmth, and in the next, the glow would collapse into shadow, leaving behind only the pale memory of radiance. The sky, once painted with soft color, would become a deep and immediate dark, its vastness revealed too quickly, like a curtain drawn back before the eye was ready. The earth, wrapped in its own quiet spin, would find itself drifting in a night that no dawn would follow. The silence of that instant would not be heavy, but delicate, a pause that seemed to stretch across the surface of the planet. shadows would no longer bend or move, for there would be no source to guide them. Every forest and mountain would remain in their forms, yet without the tender touch of light to soften their edges. The seas would continue their rhythm waves, folding and unfolding against the shore. But each crest would be dark, each hollow, hidden the silver thread of morning lost, and still the earth would turn steady in its path, unaware of what it had lost. To imagine this vanishing is to imagine a familiar room suddenly unlit, where every shape remains, but none can be seen in the same way. The sun, so constant, has long been the quiet painter of detail, tracing brightness along stone, water, and skin. Without it, the world does not disappear, yet it feels withdrawn, as if retreating into itself. The air would still move in gentle winds, carrying scents across valleys, carrying whispers through trees, but the softness of their glow would be gone. The breath of the planet would continue, only shaded in a darkness without color. The stars would arrive, not gradually, but all at once, scattered across the sky like countless lanterns uncovered. They would seem brighter, sharper, and endless, their distance no longer veiled by the sun's presence. The moon, silent companion, would float in this new sky, pale and constant, reflecting not the glow of a vanished friend, but only its own quiet face. To those looking upward, the heavens would appear more alive than ever before, and yet that abundance of light would feel strangely empty, for it would come not from the source that once held them close, but from countless suns far away. In that moment, the earth would not falter in its movement. It would keep spinning gently, as it always has, turning in silence, carrying oceans and forests, mountains and deserts through the dark expanse. The absence of the sun would not stop this rotation, for the planet's momentum is its own, a quiet inertia, a memory of motion held deep within. And so, it would continue tracing its path around a space that now seemed hollow, like a dancer circling an empty stage. The thought of such sudden absence rests like a feather, delicate and light, reminding that what feels permanent may be no more than a thread of brightness woven into the fabric of time. The candle of the sun, so vast and so distant, is also fragile in its own way, a flame that holds the rhythms of every life beneath it. To picture that flame extinguished is not to summon fear, but to sense how much is carried within its glow, how deeply every breath is woven into its light. And so, the vision of darkness is not a catastrophe, but a lull, a settling into stillness, a moment where the earth reveals its persistence. Apart from its star, life would continue for a time in the memory of warmth. The planet would move in the memory of motion, and the sky would bloom with stars in the memory of radiance. The candle is gone, but the traces of its fire linger in the patterns it once shaped. In this quiet imagining, the listener is invited not to dread, but to drift, to let the mind rest in the idea that even endings arrive softly, like light folding into shadow. The sun disappears, the candle is blown out, and yet the earth continues to turn, wrapped in the slow breath of night. And in that turning, there is still rhythm, there is still balance, there is still the endless hush of a world that moves, even when its light has gone. As the sudden glow fades into silence, what remains is the sky reshaped, carrying the world into its first true shadow. Without the sun to mark the difference, there is no longer a line between day and night, no golden border to divide one from the other. The earth continues to turn, as it always has, but its turning no longer brings a change of sky, only the same wide darkness that spreads unbroken. For those who look upward, the heavens unfold like a tapestry stretched across eternity, stitched with uncountable points of brightness. The stars appear sharper, more abundant, as if hidden, until this very moment, now revealed in a vastness that seems too much for the eye to hold. And so, the world lies beneath a dome of endless starlight, both wondrous and unfamiliar. This sky, unshaken by dawn, seems alive in its stillness. The constellations that once appeared faint now glow with quiet insistence, their shapes weaving stories across the dark. The Milky Way stretches like a river of frost, flowing from horizon to horizon, not dimmed by any rival. Every glance upward is met with 1,000 distant suns, each one a whisper from elsewhere. It is beautiful, almost unbearably so, and yet the beauty holds an emptiness, for what dazzles the eye also reminds it of what has been lost. The guiding light of the sun is gone, leaving only the distant choir of stars to sing in its absence. To those who dwell beneath this sky, the world feels strangely suspended. The hours no longer have edges, for no sunrise will arrive to mark beginnings, and no sunset will arrive to mark endings. Time drifts without anchor, like a boat upon a still sea, moving but without measure. Sleep and waking lose their rhythm, folding into one another, like shadows in a room without windows. The earth continues in its motion, steady and faithful, but human hearts, so long aligned with the pulse of day and night, now drift untethered. Yet even in this disorientation, there is a quiet wonder. The darkness that seems infinite also reveals its treasures, patterns, and glimmers unseen before. The stars themselves are like lanterns hung in a silent hall, each one a flame that burns without sound, without smoke, without end. Some shine faintly, some blaze more fully, and together they form a sky that feels both immense and intimate, stretching endlessly, yet pressing close like a blanket of light. The absence of the sun does not erase radiance. It multiplies it, scattering it into countless sparks. Still, these sparks are distant, and their distance deepens the sense of solitude. In ancient whispers, the Greeks once told of the sky as being cracked, tiny fractures through which the eternal light beyond seeps in. The stars, they said, were not suns of their own, but slivers, openings in the great, dark shell above windows into the realm of forever. To look upon them was to see for a moment the breath of infinity, the light of another world slipping gently into ours. Under the vanished sun, such a story feels less like myth and more like a quiet explanation, a way of softening the overwhelming abundance of light with the image of simple cracks in a vessel too vast to imagine. And so, standing under this tapestry of brightness, the world feels both blessed and forsaken, both illuminated and emptied. The stars sing their silent chorus, and the earth drifts through it, carried by momentum alone, a sphere cloaked in unbroken night. Every shadow is now endless, every landscape folded into the same shade of dark. The rivers still flow, the winds still move, the forests still stand, but all of them seem to sleep beneath the ceiling of stars. The familiar division has been erased, and with it, the certainty of rhythm. This erasure is not violent, but soft, like a page turned without sound, like a breath exhaled without return. The sun has gone, and the earth moves, on revealing a sky that is fuller than ever before, and yet lonelier in its fullness. The first shadow is not only darkness on the land, but a shadow in the mind, a recognition that the world is both more and less than it was. It is a shadow that carries both awe and emptiness, both wonder and longing, both the memory of warmth and the revelation of eternity. And so, in this endless night, beneath a sky without dawn, the earth continues its turning, wrapped in the shimmer of stars. The first shadow has fallen, and it will not lift. And still within its silence, there is beauty vast and unmeasured, a beauty that both soothes and unsettles, a beauty that holds the listener softly, like darkness, itself cradling a dream. As the first shadow settles deeper, the flow of time itself begins to lose its familiar shape. Without the rising of the sun, there is no dawn to lift the horizon into gold, and without its sinking, there is no dusk to soften the air into quiet fire. The world moves, yet the world does not shift, for every hour appears the same beneath the unchanging night. What was once a circle of morning, noon, and evening has dissolved into a seamless fabric of darkness, a fabric that does not tear or fold, but stretches on and on without edge. It feels endless, yet also strangely still, as though time itself were breathing in, but never breathing out. In this softened darkness, the rhythms of living things begin to drift. The circadian rhythm, that hidden clock within the body of every creature, stumbles. Without the light that once wound it so carefully, birds no longer rise with the coming glow, for no glow appears to call them. Their songs grow uncertain, scattered like threads loosened from a tapestry. Flowers do not open, for there is no hand of light to unfold their petals, and leaves do not close, for the dusk never arrives to whisper them shut. Even the smallest insect, tuned to the cycle of sun and shade, seems to wander, as though lost in a corridor without doors. The forests, once alive with the shift of day into night, now linger in the same dimness without pause. The air moves. Winds continue their slow passage through branches, but nothing signals change. Nothing divides the hours. The oceans, too, continue their tides, drawn not by light, but by the pull of the moon. Yet without the sun, their shining surfaces remain dark, silverless, unlit. Waves break, but they break in shadow, repeating endlessly, as if unsure of when to rest. Life still breathes, yet the sense of rhythm, the steady metronome of the sun, has been taken away. Humans, too, feel the absence in ways both subtle and deep. The body, so accustomed to waking with the brightening sky and sleeping with its dimming, loses its anchor. Rest and alertness blur for the eyes, cannot tell when it is time to close and when to open. Lamps burn in homes, fires flicker in towns, yet all these lights are faint imitations, tiny sparks against the vast silence overhead. People try to measure hours by their own devices, but each count feels hollow, for no sunrise comes to confirm the truth of their keeping. Time becomes less of a line and more of a haze, drifting forward without clear steps. The earth, however, continues its turning. It spins on its axis, faithful to its path, as it always has, yet without its guiding star, it is like a dancer, moving without music, graceful but unaccompanied. The movement itself does not falter, but the meaning of that movement feels suspended, as if the planet is circling not around a source of life, but around an empty center, silent and cold. The familiar guide has been removed, and what remains is only momentum, a memory of motion carried forward. The absence of rhythm is not violent, but deeply soft, like a lull that settles into every corner of the world. It is a quiet that soothes and unsettles at once, a reminder that all living things lean upon the invisible hands of cycles, cycles that are now broken. The clock of the sun has stopped, and though Earth still turns, there is no bell to chime, no light to declare a beginning or an end. Everything becomes continuous, a seamless night with no punctuation. Yet even here, in this world without division, there is a kind of still beauty. The stars remain overhead, unblinking, constant in their watch. The moon drifts unhurried, lending what pale glow it can to seas and fields. Fires burn in the deep of Earth's mantle, unseen but steady, and life continues in small ways, adjusting to the absence as best it can. The lack of rhythm reveals another truth, that existence flows even when patterns fall away, that movement endures even without music. It is not the end, but a different kind of silence, a silence that holds the listener gently, like arms around a dream. And so the earth turns on, cloaked in unbroken dark, its creatures swaying without measure, its forests lingering without change, its oceans moving without shine. No dawn will come to wake it, no dusk will come to rest it, and still it moves, it breathes it, continues a planet faithful to its path, but longing for the hand that once guided its steps. When the measure of days falls quiet, the world exhales into a deeper stillness. It begins as a hush, not sharp, but spreading a soft veil draped over the surface of the earth. Where once the voices of morning would rise, the call of birds greeting the light, the stir of branches warmed by the dawn. Now, there is only silence, unbroken and complete. The forest stands the same, yet its music has been withdrawn. The fields remain wide, but their chorus has faded. No golden rays slip through leaves. No shifting patterns dance upon the ground. What remains is the shape of the world, without its song, a stage left with scenery intact, but without its players. This silence is not absence alone. It carries its own presence, a thickness of quiet that touches every sound and slows it. The wind still moves across mountains and seas, but its voice seems softened, muted, as if aware of the missing companion who once lent it resonance. Rivers continue their flowing, but their shimmer has gone, and so their motion feels more secret, less alive to the eye. Even the beating of a heart seems subdued, wrapped in a night that has no measure of mourning. The loss is not a violent tearing, but a dimming, a gentleness that takes away color and leaves only shadow. Creatures sense it in different ways. Birds, confused by the absence of dawn, fall into silence, their wings folded, as though waiting for a cue that does not come. Insects, once guided by cycles of light and dark, drift without pattern, moving yet aimless. Trees, which used to sway with a rhythm tied to the sun, now stand in an endless pause, as though holding their breath. The silence does not crush them, but it unsettles their harmony, leaving each in a kind of solitude. It is a world intact, yet strangely hollow, a vessel emptied of its music. To human eyes and ears, the absence feels at once strange and familiar. The city lights may still glow lamps, and fires may still burn, but around them, There is no background song, no dawn chorus to signal change. The familiar hum of daily life seems quieter, as though every sound were cushioned by a thicker air. Even words spoken feel altered, carrying farther than they should in the stillness, or perhaps echoing less. The silence reshapes perception, and what was once unnoticed, the creak of wood, the drip of water, becomes pronounced. The smallest details amplified against the hush. The beginning of silence is not a void, but an atmosphere, a quality of air that folds itself around the world. It is soft and unbroken, like snow laid gently upon a landscape, muffling even the sharpest lines. The sun's absence is not felt as an explosion or collapse, but as a withdrawal, as though a great hand has slowly lifted away, leaving the earth to rest beneath its own weight. No sound announces this change. No cry declares it. It is instead the opposite of a cry, a quiet so deep it feels like a whisper turned inward. In ancient stories, silence was often described not as emptiness, but as the place where the eternal dwells. To some, the hush of a starless sky was the threshold of the sacred, a stillness that contained the essence of all things. And so here too, the quiet holds a strange fullness. It is not frightening, for it does not press. It is not harsh, for it does not demand. It is simply present, as though the earth itself has closed its eyes and settled into a long, slow dream. The listener may imagine walking into such a silence, feeling each step softened by the absence of sound, each breath drawn into the wider breath of the world. The forest does not protest. The oceans do not rage. The mountains do not crumble. Instead, they all seem to rest together, bathed in the same quiet, wrapped in the same dark fabric of sky. The world does not end. It only grows quieter, its voice sinking beneath the surface where it can no longer be heard. And so, the first silence becomes a beginning of its own. It is not the loudness of loss, but the gentleness of stillness, not a finality, but a shift, a turning inward. It is the world, without its guiding light, holding itself softly moving, without sound, breathing without song. The sun has vanished, and what remains is silence vast, patient, and complete. As the first silence folds itself across the world, the story drifts onward into the slow breath of fading warmth. The earth does not cool at once. It holds within its oceans its soil, and its air a memory of heat gathered across countless days beneath the sun. That warmth lingers like an afterglow, a soft ember beneath the surface of a great stone releasing itself slowly, as if reluctant to let go. The seas cradle it in their depths. The land stores it in its hidden layers, and the air carries it in gentle currents that still move across valleys and hills. For a time, the planet continues to breathe in warmth, even as the source of that breath has gone. The oceans, vast and quiet, become the first to reveal this gentle release. Their surfaces, no longer lit by golden rays, grow darker, but beneath that darkness remains a body that remembers the sun. Each wave folds upon itself with a hidden heat, giving it back to the sky in size too subtle to see. The water, like a cradle, holds its warmth longer than air or soil, and so the seas become a slow lantern dimming little by little, a flame hidden within a vessel of shadow. It is not a sudden loss, but a gradual surrender, spread out like the closing notes of a song. The land, too, carries its own store of warmth, Stones, mountains, and fields have absorbed the touch of light for uncountable cycles, and though the light has ceased, their surfaces still release a soft echo of it. The soil, deep and layered, exhales in silence, its breath rising into the dark air, vanishing into the emptiness above. Forests stand rooted in this quiet heat, their trunks and roots warmed by the memory of sunlight, giving it away slowly, like a secret whispered to the night. Even in darkness, the earth glows invisibly, though no eyes can see its tender release. The air, restless and invisible, becomes the messenger of this fading warmth. It moves across the seas and over the mountains, carrying the heat outward, letting it disperse into the coldness of space. Breezes no longer shimmer with light, yet they still bear the trace of what once filled them, a subtle warmth clinging to their touch. As they wander, the heat thins, stretching out until it cannot be felt, until it is carried away entirely. The atmosphere becomes a soft veil, once woven with color, now transparent and withdrawing a fabric, loosening thread by thread. This slow release is guided by simple science, though it feels more like poetry. Heat, which scientists call energy, flows outward, always seeking balance, always moving from what is warm to what is cold. Yet here in the hush of a vanished sun, that movement feels like the exhalation of the planet itself, a long and patient breath. The earth, having been warmed for so long now, sighs back into the universe, its warmth drifting like smoke into a vast and endless night. And in this drifting, time stretches gently, without rush, without end. Life upon the surface feels the change, though at first it is subtle. The coolness that once came with evening now lingers and deepens, no longer balanced by the promise of dawn. Leaves no longer glisten with morning light. Instead, they hold the chill of a night that does not lift. Skin feels the quiet shift of air, the way warmth slips away, not all at once, but in a steady, endless flow. It is not harsh, but it is unyielding. A reminder that the gift of heat was borrowed, and the time has come to return it. And yet, even as the warmth diminishes, there is a strange peace in its rhythm. Nothing collapses, nothing breaks. It is a soft unwinding, a loosening of threads that once held the earth in brightness. The oceans continue to move. The land continues to rest. The air continues to drift, and all of them give back to space what they once received. The silence of the vanished sun is matched by the silence of this fading, and together they form a harmony, a lullaby of release, slow and unending. So the planet continues turning through a darkness lit only by stars, while its warmth slips quietly away. The seas exhale, the land breathes, the air carries, and the universe receives. Nothing resists, nothing rushes. It is the way of all things. What has been gathered must be given. What has been held must be released. And in this release, there is calm, there is stillness, there is the soft rhythm of a world that remembers the sun even as it lets it go. Beyond the quiet breath of land and sky, the gaze turns to the ocean, where the hush deepens in another way. The oceans, wide and patient, are the great mirrors of the earth. Upon their surface, the first signs of coldness appear not as a sudden shattering, but as a delicate film, a skin of ice spreading slowly across the waves. The water does not resist it, only yields in silence, offering its face to the chill that presses down from the unlit sky. In the absence of sunlight, the glitter of the surface is gone, leaving the sea dark and still a sheet of shadow broken only by the quiet stirring of the wind. And in this stillness, the ocean becomes a mirror, not of light, but of cold. Beneath that surface, however, the sea remembers. The deeper waters hold on to their warmth, keeping it hidden like an ember beneath ash. Life continues there in muffled rhythm, faint and subdued, yet enduring. The currents, guided by differences in heat and salt, still move, though slowly, like the drifting of long dreams. Fish and smaller creatures weave through the dim layers, following instincts written long before the sun's absence. In the depths, there remains a fragile memory of the star, a faint echo of the warmth that once fed the upper waves. The transformation is gradual, for the ocean has always been a keeper of time, measured in long breaths. Its surfaces shift with each season, its depths change over centuries, and now, without the sun, its release of heat becomes another slow ritual. Ice spreads outward, but the heart of the ocean cools more patiently, as though unwilling to let go of its hidden flame. The sound of waves against the frozen edges grows softer, a hush upon a hush, until the sea seems to hum in silence. It is not the sound of loss, but the quiet of surrender, the patient yielding of water to sky. To the creatures that depend on the sea, the shift is felt like a long twilight. Birds that once skimmed the shining waters find only a dim plain, while seals and whales move further into the depths, where some warmth lingers. Even the smallest plankton, unseen, yet essential, drift with less certainty, guided by rhythms that now falter. Yet life does not vanish all at once. It recedes, it adapts, it lingers. The ocean is too vast to be emptied quickly, too deep to give up its memory in a single breath. It continues quietly, in layers unseen. In the stories of old people, believed that the ocean held the soul of the sun, hidden away in its depth, so that it could return when needed. They whispered that the warmth beneath the waves was not merely heat, but the sleeping heart of the star itself, resting until it chose to rise again. To those who stood on darkened shores, watching the slow spread of ice, such tales might feel less like myth and more like comfort, a way to imagine that the star was not gone, but only hidden, its spirit stored safely in the sea. The water then became not just a mirror of cold, but a cradle of possibility, keeping something alive even in the vast silence. Science speaks of heat, exchange of conduction, and convection of the way energy flows from warm to cold. Yet in the hush of a vanished sun, these terms soften into imagery, the ocean breathing its warmth, away the ice forming like a thin veil over its face, the depths holding on like a memory, too deep to fade. Each scientific truth becomes a metaphor, each fact a quiet image that rests gently in the mind. And in these softened words, the listener can drift not into calculation, but into calm. The earth continues to turn, and the oceans continue their surrender, but neither does so in haste. The process is slow, a descent measured not in moments, but in ages unfolding in silence as stars look on from above. The frozen surfaces gleam faintly under starlight, a different kind of beauty, not golden but silver, not warm but serene. The depths remain alive, a secret warmth, moving unseen, as if the sea itself is dreaming of the sun's return. And so, the ocean's mirrors of the earth hold two truths at once, above the spreading of ice, below the lingering of warmth. Between them lies the balance of memory and change, of surrender and endurance. The silence grows deeper, but within it, the waters keep breathing, holding the echo of the sun even as they let it go. As the oceans fall into their long hush, the gaze turns upward, where the air itself begins to change. The sky no longer carries the familiar shade of blue, for that color was always the gift of scattered sunlight. Without the sun, the scattering has ceased, and what remains is only the black stillness of space clear and unbroken. The air is present, wrapping the earth as faithfully as before, yet it no longer glows with color. It is transparent, invisible, a silent veil through which the stars shine more directly, unfiltered and sharp. The heavens, once softened by daylight, now open in their raw and endless expanse. The clouds, too, have dissolved into absence. Without warmth rising from the ground, and without the light to paint their forms, they no longer gather, no longer drift, no longer veil the sky in shifting whiteness. Their cotton shapes, once so familiar, have thinned into nothing, leaving only emptiness in their place. Rain does not fall, for there are no clouds to release it, and storms do not gather, for the air has fallen into a deeper balance. It is a world without weather, a quietness that stretches from the surface of the sea to the farthest edge of the atmosphere. In this hush, the air itself feels altered, though it is the same mixture of gases as before. Oxygen, nitrogen, and the softer traces of other elements still weave together, but without sunlight, their dance has slowed. Photosynthesis no longer renews the air, and yet the change is not immediate. The reserves remain, and for a time creatures still breathe as before. The science of gases is simple, but in this still moment, it feels like something older, a breath drawn once and held in suspension. The atmosphere has become a resting body, folded into silence, no longer marked by the daily rise and fall of clouds. The horizon, once blurred by mist or haze, grows sharp and crystalline. Mountains stand against the black background, like silhouettes cut in stone, and oceans lie beneath them as the darker mirrors. Stars gleam even at the lowest edge of vision, sparkling where once the brightness of the sky had hidden them. The world seems more connected to the universe, beyond, less shielded, less separate. The veil is still there, but it has become transparent, almost forgotten. Looking upward, the earth feels smaller, more fragile, a bubble of breath, floating in an infinite night. To those who once looked for signs in the sky, such a shift would have seemed like the opening of a door. Ancient voices might have called it revelation, the unveiling of the heavens in their true form. The Greeks whispering beneath their constellations imagined the stars as cracks in a great shell through which the light of eternity poured down. And now, with no sun to scatter and soften, those cracks appear wider, brighter, more insistent. The night is not merely darker, it is deeper, like a window through which infinity leans closer. Yet for all its mystery, the atmosphere remains steady. Winds move slowly, carrying what warmth remains outward. The earth continues to breathe, though the breath is quieter, more subdued. The balance that once brought shifting clouds and flowing rains has given way to a calmer silence. The weather has stilled, the sky has opened, and the air itself has grown into something like glass, present, protective, but invisible. No storms break this hush, no rain interrupts, no lightning startles. The world drifts without weather, and the mind drifts with it. There is a peace in this change, a strange serenity that comes from stillness. The endless blue has vanished, but in its place is a canvas filled with stars. The clouds have gone, but their absence allows a purer view of the cosmos beyond. The rain has ceased, but so too have the storms, the sudden roars, the flashes of thunder. What remains is quiet, calm, unbroken, like a lullaby without words. The earth has not fallen apart. It has simply grown quieter, its sky no longer a shifting stage, but a clear and silent dome. And so the atmosphere lingers unseen, but felt holding the world gently while revealing the infinity above. The blue has faded, the clouds have passed, and the rains are gone. Yet in their absence lies a calm that is both tender and strange, a calm that wraps itself around the listener, like the night air cool and unending. The sky has lost its voice, and in that loss, it has become a deeper silence, one that invites the earth and all who rest upon it into quiet. From the quiet sky above, the story settles gently downward into the stillness of forests and fields. The trees stand patient, their tall forms unchanged, yet within them a slow shift begins. Without sunlight, photosynthesis no longer flows the green machinery of leaves, resting now in silence. Still the trunks remain upright, the branches hold steady, and the roots cling deep to the soil. Life does not vanish in an instant. It lingers like breath held beneath closed lips. The forest waits hushed, as though caught in a pause that has no end. The fields, too, lie quiet. Grasses that once shimmered with light now bend under a dim sky, their blades no longer stretching toward the sun, but folding in upon themselves. Yet the memory of growth is still there, pressed into every stalk, every seed, every thread of soil. The land feels as though it has entered a season, without conclusion, a winter stretched across the world like a pale blanket. The air does not sing with insects. The dawn does not stir with birds. Yet the silence itself becomes a rhythm, slow and steady. The forest floor is softened by fallen leaves, which decompose in silence, feeding the ground even in darkness. Tiny fungi still bloom faintly, carrying on their hidden work, whispering their quiet chemistry into the soil. Roots extend not seeking light, but finding moisture and minerals below their persistence, reminding the world that life clings wherever it can. The forest does not end. It changes into a form of waiting, of conserving, of slowing itself down to endure. Each tree, each blade, each seed becomes like a sleeper in a long dream. For animals, the endless night is a deeper winter than any they have known. Deer move through the dim woods, with more hesitation, their breath clouding softly, their ears tuned to faint sounds. Wolves tread the snowless ground as if it were already frozen, their eyes reflecting the starlight above. Birds rest longer in their nests, uncertain of when to stir their songs, absent in the silence. The fields that once offered grain and grass now provide little, but still creatures linger, taking what remains, stretching their endurance like threads across the long dark. And yet, in this unending season, there is a beauty both strange and solemn. The trees, stripped of purpose, stand like pillars in a great temple, their silhouettes drawn against a sky of stars. The grasses ripple faintly in winds that move without warmth, and their motion seems more like breath than growth. The absence of green, the fading of color, transforms the land into a monochrome painting, soft and muted. What once was vibrant now glows with a different kind of presence, a subdued stillness that soothes even as it lingers. Science might speak here of energy flow, of the halting of photosynthesis, of the slowing of cycles that once renewed air and soil. But to the listener, these processes are like whispers, like the slowing heartbeat of a resting creature. The forests have folded themselves into waiting. The fields have entered a sleep deeper than any season of the past. The absence of sunlight does not erase them. It only changes the pace of their breath, their pulse. They become custodians of patience, guardians of a silence that stretches across the earth. Old voices might have seen such a world as sacred. They might have said that the forests were keepers of ancient time, that in their stillness lay a wisdom beyond growth, beyond decay. Fields without harvest might have been seen as altars, waiting for the return of light, holding the memory of plenty even in emptiness. The endless winter would not have been called an ending, but a long sleep, a slumber meant to prepare for renewal. And so within myth and within silence, the land remains alive in ways both hidden and enduring. The earth continues to turn, and the forests and fields continue to wait. The trees do not fall, the grasses do not vanish, the seeds do not forget their promise. They rest, they pause, they linger in forms of endurance that only time can measure. This winter without end becomes their new horizon, a landscape of patience and surrender. And within it, the mind of the listener can drift too, breathing more slowly, sinking into the rhythm of waiting, and finding peace in the thought that even in stillness, life holds on. From the waiting forests and the silent fields, the story drifts lower into the deep body of the earth, where the slow rhythm of cold begins to take hold. The soil, once warmed by countless days of sunlight, now exhales its heat in steady sighs, each layer giving away its stored warmth to the open dark above. It does not release all at once, but in a gradual surrender, as if reluctant to part with what has been gathered for so long. The surface cools first crisp and brittle, while deeper layers hold on longer, their warmth hidden like a secret buried in the ground. Slowly, patiently, the memory of the sun seeps outward until even the deepest roots feel the touch of chill. The earth rests, wrapped in its own long breath. The rivers, too, begin their transformation. Their surfaces freeze into stillness, thin veils of ice spreading across waters that once ran freely under the light of day. Yet beneath the frozen skin, the flow continues, muted but persistent, a hidden current carrying on in darkness. The sound of rushing water grows faint, muffled by the cover above, until only a soft murmur remains. The rivers do not stop at once. They only quiet themselves, as though learning to move under a gentler rhythm. They become streams of memory, carrying echoes of motion through a world grown still. The mountains stand in their ancient silence, yet even they are touched by the creeping cold. Snow and ice spread along their ridges, not as sudden storms, but as slow accretions, crystals forming one by one until stone itself seems clothed in frost. Valleys lie beneath these frozen crowns, shadows deepening silence, thickening. The great bodies of rock, once absorbing heat through the day, now release it back into space with no light to replenish it. The mountains become monuments of slowness, breathing cold into the air around them, keeping vigil under the stars. This descent into frost is not abrupt, but unfolds like a fading melody. Each note lingers before it disappears. Each chord softens before it falls silent. The warmth seeps away with the same patience as a song coming to its end, not with a break, but with a long diminuendo. The earth in all its forms, soil, river, mountain, becomes part of this quiet music, a lullaby of cooling spread across its surface. The listener hearing it within the mind drifts as though following the tempo of that fading song. Science might call this the release of thermal energy, the gradual equalizing of temperatures between Earth and the space beyond. Yet in the quiet of this imagining, such words soften, becoming images. Instead, the earth exhaling its last warmth, rivers humming beneath a frozen veil, mountains cloaking themselves in silver frost. The process is simple, yet it unfolds with a grandeur that feels both eternal and delicate. It is the physics of cooling translated into the poetry of silence. And so, the planet continues its turning, carrying with it the weight of ice that grows thicker with each passing moment. The once green forests now resemble frozen groves. The once bright fields lie beneath layers of frost. The once lively rivers run slower under their glassy skins. Each transformation is quiet, without rush, without drama. It is the way of cold. It does not shout. It does not strike it, only settles patiently, like snow upon a sleeping land. In this long winter, the earth does not resist. It accepts the absence of light and allows the frost to spread, as though it understands that this is simply another form of balance. The silence deepens, the cold expands, and the world folds into itself, becoming smaller, slower, more subdued. It is not an ending, but a transformation, one more step in the journey of a planet now adrift beneath the stars. And so, the rhythm of cold continues slow, as breath steady as the turning earth. The soil surrenders its warmth, the rivers soften their voices, the mountains wear their crowns of frost. Nothing breaks, nothing shatters. The change is patient, a lull, a descent into quiet. And in that quiet, the listener too may find rest carried by the same slow rhythm into a deeper calm. Out of the hush that settled on the frozen land, attention turns quietly to the creatures who once trusted the guidance of day and night. The animals of the day find themselves in a world without the compass of the sun. They wander through shadow without knowing when to rise or when to rest their bodies, holding on to memories of a time when morning called them awake and evening called them home. Eyes that once followed the warmth of dawn now search the horizon for a glow that never comes, and ears that once caught the chorus of daylight now strain to hear what has fallen silent. Their movements grow slower, hesitant, as though waiting for a sign that does not arrive. The world around them is familiar, yet strangely adrift. In contrast, the animals of the night feel the darkness unfold like an endless gift. Owls spread their wings through the still air, their calls echoing further than before, no longer competing with the sounds of day. Small creatures with luminous eyes emerge from hidden burrows, their steps soft upon the ground, their senses sharpened in the permanent twilight. For a while, the nocturnal world thrives, as if the planet itself has bent to its rhythm. The stars above glisten as their silent companions, and the forests murmur with new activity. Night no longer shares its reign, yet even for these dwellers of darkness, the change is not entirely gentle. The balance they knew depended on contrast, on the meeting of night and day, and now the endless absence blurs the line. The cycles of hunting and resting lose their boundaries, and what was once an advantage becomes a question without answer. They too grow slower, unsure of when to pause, unsure of when to stir. Their domain is larger, but it is also emptier, echoing in a way that feels both vast and hollow. The forest and plains that once held a chorus of voices now resonate differently. The calls of diurnal birds fade, replaced by the whispers of night creatures, yet the fullness is not the same. It is as though a great orchestra has lost half of its instruments, and the melody continues, but in a subdued, unfamiliar tone. The earth listens silent and patient, as if it too is adjusting to a song that now drifts without rhythm. The quiet spreads between the trees, through the grasses across the waters, carrying with it a sense of waiting. Science might call this a disruption of circadian rhythms, the biological clocks that once aligned with the rising and setting of the sun. But in this slow imagining, the phrase becomes softer, more like a story of creatures searching for their missing conductor, moving still but without the gentle hand that kept time. The day's animals wander in confusion, the night's animals flourish and then falter, and together they form a new silence between them. Life continues, not vanished but transformed, breathing more slowly in the unbroken dark. And so the earth watches its inhabitants drift into uncertainty. Some adapt with patience, reshaping their ways of feeding, resting, and moving. Others linger waiting for a light that will not return, their instincts caught in a quiet conflict with the new sky. Yet there is no sudden collapse, no violent end. The change settles like dust, softly, steadily, a transformation that feels less like a break and more like a long pause. In this shared pause, the animals embody the planet's own stillness. The day creatures hesitate in shadow, the night creatures expand into spaces once filled with sunlight, and together they trace a slower pattern across the land. It is a dance without music, a movement without direction, yet it continues all the same, and the listener hearing this unfolding may feel the same slow drift of time, the same gentle surrender to the absence of rhythm. The story of day and night becomes the story of uncertainty, told not in sudden words, but in the hush of pause upon the ground, in the faint beat of wings in the air, in the silence of a song no longer sung at dawn. And as this story moves on, it does so without hurry, carrying both the confusion of the day and the brief triumph of the night into the quiet that follows. It is in the quiet, after the wandering of the animals, that the gaze begins to slip downward into the depths of the oceans, where the last warmth and the last rhythm still remain. The ocean holds itself like a cradle wide and deep, collecting what the land and the air have already surrendered, storing within its layers the lingering breath of the planet. The surface grows, still reflecting no sunrise and no sunset, but beneath the water whispers with a dim memory of warmth drawn from the hidden heart of the earth. It is not the light of the vanished sun that carries life here, but the secret heat seeping upward from below, slow as an ancient sigh, steady as the quiet pulse of time. And in this shelter, life does not vanish at once. It endures, cloaked in silence. The creatures of the deep have long been strangers to daylight, their bodies shaped not by brightness, but by darkness itself, moving slowly in the black waters as though they belong to another world. Some of them create their own light, small and fragile, glimmering, as if fireflies had chosen to live beneath the waves. This phenomenon, called bioluminescence, does not appear sharp or harsh, but instead spreads like faint threads woven through the liquid night, softening the heavy dark with pinpricks of silver blue. They shine not to illuminate the sea, but to speak in secret, a language of signals, a conversation of survival carried out like whispers between drifting souls. It is easy to imagine the sea as a sky turned inward, each glowing creature a star that breathes rather than burns, just as constellations once guided travelers across the vast distances above. These flickers may guide a fish through the hidden plains below, faint beacons in an endless night. And like the stars, they are not scattered in haste, but linger in quiet positions, steady enough to suggest patterns, fragile enough to vanish. If one blinks too long, there is a story carried in ancient voices from the Polynesian navigators who knew the sea not as emptiness, but as a living expanse filled with memory and light. They whispered that the glow rising from within the ocean was the torch of ancestors set deep below to guide those who sailed upon the waters. Each glimmer, in their telling, was a flame that did not burn, but endured, a gift from the past to those still journeying. In this way, the ocean was never silent, never empty, but always holding the presence of those who came before, stretching their light into the currents like a gentle hand. Now, in a world where the sun has vanished, the legend feels less like myth and more like a soft truth, for the ocean does carry its hidden lanterns, and in their glow one can still feel the nearness of continuity. It is a reminder that not all brightness belongs to the sky, and not all silence is without voice. The water itself becomes a kind of boundary, dividing what has faded from what still lingers, a threshold where endings do not arrive at once, but dissolve in long, slow streams. Near the seafloor, heat wells up from fractures in the crust, spilling warmth into the deep. These hydrothermal vents, though plain in scientific terms, may be pictured as the breathing mouths of the earth exhaling in darkness, offering shelter and energy where no other source remains. Around them cluster fragile communities of life blind, yet adapted their movements, shaped by the unseen warmth. They are like pilgrims, gathered around a hidden fire, silent and enduring, kept alive by the planet's own secret. Here time itself feels different, slower, less urgent, as if each moment is stretched by water and weight. Creatures drift with patient fins, plants sway without haste, and even the faintest glow seems eternal. The absence of sunlight does not erase existence here, but transforms it, softening it into a rhythm too slow to notice, too ancient to fear. And so, the ocean becomes not only the last refuge of life, but also a mirror of eternity, holding both silence and shimmer together in one vast embrace. When one listens deeply, it seems as though the ocean is not only water, but memory. It carries the warmth of a planet's core, the shimmer of countless small lives, and the echoes of stories told long before the sun was imagined as eternal. In its depths, absence does not strike suddenly, but becomes an atmosphere heavy, yet forgiving, infinite, yet intimate. The sea knows how to cradle endings and beginnings alike, how to keep breathing, even when breath grows faint. And so while the surface world grows colder, the ocean keeps its secret lanterns alive, small, yet sufficient, fragile, yet enduring. Each shimmer is a soft reminder that even in vast darkness, the world does not vanish at once. It only shifts into another form of quiet, one that is patient, one that is slow. It is in this deep patience that the story rests for a moment, listening to the dim glow below. And gently, almost without noticing, the thread will rise again, moving from the hidden sea back toward the sky above, where silence has grown even larger. From the hush of the ocean's glow, the thread of the story drifts upward again, touching the world of human lights fragile against the vast dark. Cities continue to breathe their streets, strung with lamps, their windows lit in rows that shimmer faintly like necklaces of fire along the ground. The power of electricity still feeds the circuits, and so the night is not without brightness yet. The brightness feels thin like the fragile flame of a candle held against the depth of a cave. Towers rise with their crowns of neon roads, stretch like silver lines across the plains, and even from above, whole continents seem to sparkle. And yet, in comparison to the vanished sun, all of this light is no more than dust scattered across the emptiness. The human eye, accustomed to daylight, tries to adjust, clinging to these lesser fires, as though they could replace the star that once commanded the sky. But artificial light does not warm the air, nor shift the seasons, nor guide the ancient clocks inside the body. It merely pushes back a little circle of shadow, fragile as lace, surrounded on every side by a silence that deepens. To walk beneath a street lamp now is to feel at once comforted and exposed, as though standing beside a small hearth in the middle of a desert. Skylines remain glittering with their pride, yet when set against the blackness above, they seem like whispers that dissolve before they can be heard. The atmosphere no longer scatters light into the blue of day, and so the heavens stretch like a seamless veil of black embroidered with stars, uncaring of the tiny signals that flicker below. In this contrast, humankind begins to see its place with greater clarity, not at the center, not as master, but as one of countless sparks. The science is gentle here. Photons released from bulbs and lamps travel outward just as sunlight once did, but their journey is short, their reach swallowed almost immediately by the immensity of space. Cities glow, yet beyond a fragile horizon, the radiance dissolves into nothingness. It is as if every lamp, every screen, every flame is a grain of sand tossed into an ocean, and in this realization lies both humility and awe, a recognition of scale that soothes rather than frightens, because it draws the mind toward stillness. Stories from the past linger too, speaking of how people once mistook comets, meteors, and the northern lights as messages from gods. Now, one might imagine that the glowing streets are themselves messages not written to the sky, but to one another, signals of presence, of community, of endurance. Each lit window becomes a soft statement, we are still here. And yet, the universe does not answer, only listens silent as ever. Within the homes, people gather around their own smaller suns, lamps on tables, candles flickering with shadows, fires humming in hearths. The act is old, older than electricity, older even than memory, the instinct to gather around light when the world turns dark. In this ritual, there is calm. The light may not rival the sun, but it soothes, and it carries warmth in its familiarity. As long as a flame remains, the mind can drift toward sleep without fear. To step outside, however, is to meet the immensity of night. above the stars are sharper than ever, multiplied by the absence of solar glare, their brilliance no longer diluted. Between them lies the darkness that human lamps cannot touch, a darkness so vast that it seems alive. Against this immensity, the cities feel smaller, yet also more precious, their outlines like the beating heart of a creature, fragile and persistent. The hum of generators, the quiet current flowing through wires, the glow of screens, these too become part of the lullaby, not intrusive, but soft, like distant insects singing at dusk. They form a rhythm of human adaptation, a reminder that even in altered worlds, life finds patterns to hold. The artificial cycle of lights switching on and off may lack the grandeur of sunrise and sunset, yet it still carries a rhythm, faint though it may be, offering structure in the absence of natural time. And so, in this new world, humanity does not vanish into despair, but finds itself suspended, its lights trembling like dust motes in a shaft of eternity. Each glow is small, but together they form constellations of the earth, mirroring the constellations above. Two skies now exist, one natural, one human, each reflecting the other in silence. The perspective is humbling, yet it softens the mind, guiding it to float rather than to resist. For in this endless night, artificial light is not a failure, but a reminder. Even in darkness, something still shines, something still speaks. The story pauses here, not as an ending, but as a moment of stillness, allowing the listener to rest in the image of scattered lights, glowing faintly against an infinite black. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the thread begins to move again, carrying the vision from the fragile cities outward toward the broader canvas of the earth itself, now wrapped in an unbroken night. From the fragile shimmer of city lights dissolving into the dark, the story turns quietly inward to the rhythms that humans carry within themselves. Without the rising of the sun or the setting of its glow, the clocks of nature lose their anchor. The biological clock, once tuned to the slow arc of daylight, begins to wander. What was once a cycle of waking and resting, guided by dawn and dusk, becomes unmoored, drifting without a clear horizon. People find themselves turning not to the sky, but to their own inventions, to the glow of lamps and the rhythm of sleep, in order to measure the hours. A lamp switched on becomes a new dawn, and the extinguishing of its flame becomes an artificial dusk. The body does not protest loudly, but rather slides gently into confusion. The pulse of circadian rhythm, that subtle tide within the cells, wavers like a song without a conductor. Sleep comes, but not always in the night, for the night no longer holds dominion. Wakefulness lingers, but not always in the day, for the day no longer exists. Instead, life becomes a sequence of intervals, light and dark rest, and waking strung together without a sun to weave them. In homes across the earth, people mark time with lamps and the shadows they cast. Hours pass as the length of conversations, the fading of candles, the warmth of hearths. There are no mornings, as they once were, only the memory of them. The idea of noon dissolves into a hazy midpoint, guessed at rather than known. Each household drifts on its own rhythm, and soon even neighbors no longer agree on what moment they inhabit. It is as though time itself has softened into mist, a river that spreads rather than flows. Science explains it in quiet terms. The circadian rhythm responds to light, and without the pattern of sunlight, and darkness, the rhythm becomes free-running, as if released into an endless corridor. Yet in this endlessness, there is no chaos. Instead, there is a softness, a loosening of strict hours, a freedom that feels both disorienting and serene. What once was measured with precision now drifts like clouds across a silent sky, shape-shifting without hurry. Legends rise in the dark, told again around the lamps. Some recall the ancient belief that time is not linear, but circular, a wheel that turns endlessly, not marked by seconds, but by seasons of being. In the hush of this new world, such stories feel less like myth and more like a return, without sunrise and sunset to press their marks upon the hours. Time feels round, like a sphere gently rolling with no beginning, no end. The body listens to this softness, surrendering its insistence on exactness. Children sleep when they are weary, wake when their dreams grow thin. Adults follow the rhythm of their own fatigue, allowing work and rest to weave together in patterns unfamiliar, yet oddly comforting. Some keep their lamps burning, constantly crafting an unbroken day. Others extinguish them, often embracing the depth of shadow as a companion. No way is more correct than another, for without the sun, correctness itself has faded. What remains is simply the human attempt to breathe in harmony with what is left, and in this attempt there is a new tenderness. Life is slower, less divided. Conversations stretch without the urgency of schedules. Meals are shared without the pressure of hours. Songs are sung not at particular times, but whenever voices are ready. Time ceases to be a master and becomes instead a gentle backdrop, like the hush of waves that continue whether counted or not. This change does not roar, but hums quietly, reshaping the rhythm of humanity into something more fluid. Artificial light becomes the new sun, but its rule is gentler. It does not rise with authority over the horizon, but flickers and glows in small, humble ways. Each bulb and flame is a miniature cosmos, a private dawn held in the palm of the hand. The world becomes a patchwork of these small lights, each defining its own hours, each deciding its own sense of morning and evening. Over time, the very concept of time itself grows soft. The tick of mechanical clocks remains, yet it feels detached, like an echo of a rhythm that no longer applies. People listen instead to their bodies, to hunger and weariness, to the flow of dreams and waking thoughts. Time becomes an inner river, flowing differently in each person, yet all rivers eventually joining in the ocean of shared existence. And so, humanity continues, not lost, but transformed, living within a night that does not end yet, not surrendering to despair. Instead, they shape their days from light and sleep, weaving meaning where the sun no longer does. The world slows, but in the slowing, there is calm, a hush that makes room for listening, for noticing, for breathing. The story lingers here in this suspension where hours dissolve and days are no longer counted, but simply felt, and gently, as though carried on a breath, the vision begins to move onward, away from the fragile rhythms of people toward the vast sky above, where stars whisper of truths older than time. The scattered lights of the city dim, and the gaze falls inward, where people shape time out of shadows and sleep. In the absence of sunlight, there is a turning not only of the earth, but of thought. Without the familiar warmth pouring from the sky, the mind begins to listen to itself, as if a mirror had been lifted inside. The outer horizon, once bright and commanding, has grown still, and so the inner horizon comes into focus. It is not a harsh reflection, but a quiet pool, dark and deep, where questions drift without demand for answers. The loss of light outside opens a door to light within, subtle, faint, and calm. People sit longer in silence, watching the way their breath rises and falls. In this unhurried rhythm, they feel their own smallness, not as something to fear, but as something soft and true. The universe stretches endlessly without the sun's guiding glow, and in that vastness, the self appears as a brief spark. Yet the spark is steady, glowing not to command the dark, but simply to exist within it. The feeling is not of being lost, but of floating held by the immensity all around. Thoughts of existence surface like slow ripples on still water. What does it mean to be alive in a world without dawn? What does it mean to carry memory when the sky no longer divides into days? These questions do not seek sharp replies, for they are not riddles, but companions resting beside the listener, like a shadow at the edge of sight. The mind becomes both small and vast, tiny as a single grain of sand, and wide as the quiet ocean of night. Science whispers of consciousness, the awareness of being, as though each person were a tiny island of light within the greater sea. And when the sun disappears, that sea feels even larger, its currents stretching beyond comprehension. But the island remains steady and breathing. The heart becomes the clock, the breath becomes the tide, and existence itself becomes a flame glowing against the velvet of the void. This image comforts rather than frightens, for in the stillness there is belonging. Stories return as they always do in long nights. Some remember the tales of ancient Greece, where people once believed the stars were cracks in the sky through which eternity's light poured. Others speak of myths in which souls themselves were sparks that once belonged to the sun, sent down to wander earth for a little while. In the hush of endless night, these whispers sound less like stories and more like gentle truths, soft enough to cradle the mind. They are not meant to convince, but to soothe like a lullaby sung from a forgotten time. In this reflection, humanity sees not only its smallness, but its tenderness. Without the sun, strength and power fade as measures of meaning, and what rises instead is quiet companionship, the way people sit close, share warmth, and find comfort in presence. Even in the vast night, they are not alone. The mirror of the inner world shows connection, a reminder that existence is woven together like threads in an endless fabric. No single thread is the whole, yet each one matters to the weave. The silence deepens, but in it, the mind learns to rest. The absence of the sun does not feel like emptiness forever, but like a pause that allows other lights to emerge. Small lights of thought, small lights of memory, small lights of tenderness. Each flicker reveals something of what it means to be alive, not with noise, not with urgency, but with the patience of a candle burning slowly in the dark. As the reflection continues, there is a sense of balance. The outer world is shadowed, and so the inner world glows. The external clock has fallen away, and so the inner rhythm flows. The absence of one guide has revealed another, quieter, but no less real. It is the rhythm of being, the song of breath and heartbeat, the awareness that life persists not because of light alone, but because of the wonder of existing at all. The mirror of the inner world does not offer answers, only presence. It reflects back the softness of being alive, the delicate weight of thought, the stillness of being held by the cosmos. And this reflection, though gentle, has the power to calm. It soothes the restless urge for certainty, reminding the listener that existence itself is enough. To be a spark in the vast fabric is not a failure, but a quiet triumph. In the great hush that followed the sun's absence, people rest in their own light, however small, and find that it is enough to guide them through the night. And slowly, like a tide that knows its path, the story drifts from the inner mirror of thought to the wider stillness of the earth itself, now wrapped in a silence that deepens with every turn. And from the quiet mirror of the inner self, the vision spreads outward again, resting gently upon the earth wrapped in shadow. The world is no longer divided by dawn or dusk, no longer separated by light and dark. Instead, it lies beneath a single veil, a night without end, stretching across continents and seas with equal patience. The familiar turning of the earth continues steady and true, but it no longer delivers morning or evening. Every horizon has the same hue, every hour the same quiet darkness. It is a stillness that does not arrive with violence, but with the softness of a blanket lowered over all things. Forests rest under the weight of this darkness, their branches no longer stirred awake by golden rays. Grasslands stretch into distance without shadow or shimmer, only a muted gray beneath the starlight. Mountains lose their fiery crowns, once painted each day by the rising sun, and now stand cloaked in the same deep shade as valleys and rivers. The whole planet breathes together in a single night, as though it has entered a long and unbroken dream. Above, the atmosphere no longer scatters blue into the eyes of day. Instead, it reveals the vast clarity of the cosmos, black and endless. Where once people looked up and saw a dome of pale color, now they see through it into an immeasurable field of stars. The Milky Way stretches as a luminous river across the sky, no longer dimmed by daylight, no longer veiled by the rhythm of clouds. To some, it feels like revelation, as if the universe has finally unveiled its true face. To others, it feels like solitude, endless and profound. The idea of eternity seeps slowly into thought. A day, once measured by the path of the sun, now dissolves into something without boundary. Without day and without night, there is only duration, wide and indistinct. The clocks of nature, the subtle rhythms within birds and flowers, falter and drift. Some creatures retreat, some wander in confusion, and some continue as though nothing has changed, guided not by light, but by instinct alone. It is a hush that spreads across every living thing. Yet the hush is not empty. Within the stillness, there is an unusual beauty, one that carries both awe and sorrow. The absence of daylight allows stars to shine with an unfamiliar brilliance, their light no longer drowned by the sun's presence. Constellations glow like threads stitched into the sky, each star sharper, more insistent, more eternal seeming. Ancient myths return to memory, the stories of people who once believed that the night sky was the true realm of the gods and the sun, merely a visitor. In this endless night, such stories feel less like imagination and more like the quiet wisdom of those who gazed long into the dark. The oceans too wear this cloak of eternity. Their surfaces do not glitter under sunrise, nor burn with orange under sunset. They lie still and reflective, dark mirrors that swallow the faint starlight. Without the sun, their horizons are invisible, blending into the sky so that sea and space appear as one. Beneath the surface, currents continue their silent work steady and unbothered, as if the absence of daylight has little power in their hidden realm. People standing within this perpetual night feel themselves both smaller and more connected. They are no longer creatures of alternating light and shadow, but of shadow alone, carrying whatever light they can within themselves. The lamps they kindle, the fires they hold, become symbols of resilience, small stars rooted upon the earth. But compared to the vast dark that surrounds each glow, feels fragile, tender, and precious. Humanity is reminded that it too is a flicker, temporary, luminous, and delicate against the immeasurable canvas of space. Science might name this state a perpetual night, but such words are less important than the feeling it brings. It is not the violence of destruction, but the softness of absence. It is not a void of nothingness, but a transformation of what once was familiar into something boundless. Just as a candle extinguished leaves behind both shadow and silence, so too does the vanished sun leave behind a new presence, the presence of eternity spread evenly across the planet. And so the earth drifts clothed in one color, breathing beneath one sky. There is no division of hours, only a single unfolding moment. It is a night that does not tire a night, that neither deepens nor fades, a night that simply is. The world spins on, but without markers, without borders, and in this, there is a strange serenity. In this serenity, the story does not end, but continues quietly, moving from the stillness of eternal night toward the hidden fire that still lingers beneath the earth's skin, and beneath the blanket of eternal night attention sinks quietly downward into the hidden warmth that still stirs within the earth. Though the surface lies under a cold shadow, the planet is not entirely silent. Deep beneath the layers of stone and ice heat lingers a reminder that the world carries its own fire. This geothermal warmth, born in the cradle of the planet itself, rises gently like the slow exhale of an ancient breath. It does not vanish with the sun, for it belongs to the earth alone, a hidden pulse that continues in the dark. Mountains still and solemn on the frozen surface conceal hearts that burn softly within. In some places, this warmth breaks through spilling as molten rock from volcanoes glowing red against the endless night. They appear less as disasters and more as solitary lanterns glowing in a world without day. Each eruption is a whisper from the core, a quiet insistence that Earth still lives. And even when they do not erupt, the slow seep of geothermal energy warms water soil and stone, offering pockets of shelter for what remains. To those who dwell in this darkened world, such warmth feels like a gift, fragile yet steady. Where vents rise from the seafloor, life gathers, drawn to the quiet heat and the minerals carried upward. Creatures thrive in places untouched by sunlight, glowing with their own bioluminescent light, tiny sparks echoing the sun that has gone. In caves and under the crust, warmth allows roots to cling longer microbes, to endure a subtle reminder that not all is lost when the sky has grown dark. The earth itself cradles its children in these hidden chambers, like a mother holding embers close to her chest. Science explains these fires as geothermal energy, the slow release of heat from the Earth's molten core, still alive with motion and pressure. Yet to those who listen with quiet hearts, it feels like something more. It feels like memory, as if the Earth remembers its beginning, remembers the time when its surface glowed with fire, remembers the shaping of mountains and oceans. This memory has not faded. It smolders beneath the crust patient, waiting a reminder that even in endless night warmth is never fully gone. Legends too speak of such hidden flames. In some ancient tales, volcanoes were seen as the hearths of gods, where eternal fires burned long after the sun set. In Polynesian whispers, it is said that torches of ancestors burn beneath the sea, guiding the living through the night. In the silence of a sunless earth, such stories seem to glow brighter, woven seamlessly with the truth of geothermal fire. They are not alarms or warnings, but gentle songs reminding humanity that light can come from within as well as from above. Across the frozen continents, geysers rise with bursts of steam, exhaling from deep chambers. Hot springs bubble quietly, surrounded by ice, their warmth offering refuge to any who wander close. The contrast is tender frost and flame together, silence and murmur in the same breath. These places become havens, not of abundance, but of continuity. They remind all who see them that the earth is more than a receiver of sunlight. It is also a keeper of its own light, a silent guardian of warmth in the long shadow. The vision of these inner fires brings comfort. They are few and far between, yet their presence whispers of resilience, of persistence. The world may be cloaked in darkness, but beneath the crust it is still alive. It is not loud life, not a blazing triumph, but a slow endurance. The heat is not enough to banish the eternal night, but it is enough to prove that night cannot erase everything. Where ice presses down, fire presses back, quietly, steadily, endlessly. And so the earth becomes twofold, above a silent surface of frost and shadow, below a hidden network of warmth and fire. These two layers speak together, not in opposition but in balance. The stillness of the night holds the surface, while the patience of fire holds the heart. To live within this balance is to understand that endings are never absolute. Beneath what is lost, something remains breathing quietly, waiting gently. In this way, the planet is like a lantern carried in a darkened hall. Its surface may appear extinguished, but within the flame continues. It burns, not to dazzle, not to command, but simply to exist. That is enough. In its glow, even the endless night feels less absolute, softened by the knowledge that warmth survives. And as the story lingers near these fires, the attention lifts slowly upward again toward the sky, where the earth stripped of its sun now shows the stars in their fullest light. And from the quiet warmth beneath the earth, the gaze lifts slowly upward toward the sky that now shows itself in its fullest form. With the sun no longer ruling the heavens, the veil of daylight is gone, and the true face of the cosmos comes forward. The Milky Way stretches across the sky, no longer softened or hidden, but clear, immense, and luminous. It appears as a river of light, delicate yet endless, flowing from horizon to horizon. Stars gather like grains of silver dust, scattered across velvet, each one a quiet flame burning far away. To eyes long accustomed to the division of day and night, the sight feels both overwhelming and soothing, as though the universe has leaned closer to whisper its presence. The absence of the sun has given back the sky in its entirety. No blue curtain softens the view, no daylight fades the stars. What remains is a darkness that is not empty, but filled overflowing with points of light. The Milky Way becomes not just a streak, but a vast blanket folding gently over the earth. To see it now is to feel embraced, as if the planet has been tucked beneath a starry quilt, held close within the arms of space. The night no longer comes and goes. It simply remains an unbroken canvas on which the galaxy is painted. In this endless vision, people find themselves small, yet not diminished. Each person is a watcher beneath a dome so vast it feels without edge, yet instead of fear, there is a curious calm. The stars are countless, but their presence steadies rather than overwhelms. They become companions in the silence, reminders that Earth is not alone, but part of a vast and luminous family. To gaze upward now is to sense continuity, a belonging woven into the very fabric of the night. Science calls the Milky Way a galaxy, a collection of stars bound by gravity, spiraling together in a cosmic dance. But in the hush of eternal night, the words feel less important than the image. It is not a structure to be analyzed, but a presence to be felt. Each point of light becomes more than physics. It becomes a note in an ancient song, a reminder that the universe has always been singing whether or not daylight allowed the song to be heard. The sky glows, not with answers, but with an invitation to rest within its immensity. Old myths resurface in this unending darkness. Some recall the story told by Greeks that the Milky Way was milk spilled from the breast of a goddess, flowing across the heavens as nourishment for the world. Others remember whispers from far islands where people said the galaxy was a pathway of souls, guiding the lost back to the arms of their ancestors. And in some lands, there is the tale of a mother spirit whose milk became the Milky Way, spreading across the sky to comfort her children wandering in shadow. In this eternal night, such stories do not feel distant, but close, rising again, as if carried on the starlight itself. The stars are sharper now, their colors clearer. Some burn blue, some gold, some red, and together they weave a tapestry that shifts with patient grace. Without the sun's blaze, their subtle tones can be seen, each star carrying its own character, its own quiet flame. The earth, bathed in their combined glow, seems less abandoned, less silent. Instead, it feels watched over, not by one guardian, but by millions, each shining softly across the void. To lie beneath this sky is to drift into a deeper stillness. The mind relaxes in the face of such vastness, surrendering its need to measure and divide. There is no hour, no calendar, only the presence of the stars and their gentle shimmer. In this suspension, thought itself slows breathing, in rhythm with the endless river of light. It feels as if time has been replaced by eternity, not heavy, but soft, like a tide that has no beginning and no end. The earth itself appears as though it is wrapped in this river, its dark oceans blending with the dark of space, its mountains and plains veiled beneath the Milky Way's glow. From afar, it would seem like a pearl carried within a luminous stream, both fragile and eternal. For those upon its surface, It is a reminder that the sun was never the only light. Beyond the star that once ruled the day, there are countless others patient and ancient watching from afar. And so, the eternal night becomes not only a cloak of shadow, but also a revelation of light. What once was hidden is now revealed, and the stars themselves become teachers of patience, of silence, of belonging. They whisper that even without the sun, the cosmos is alive with radiance. In the softness of this revelation, the story drifts onward from the embrace of the Milky Way to the quiet realization that Earth itself, without its own glow, is now but one star-like dust among the infinite. And from the blanket of stars flowing across the heavens, the vision lowers again, resting gently on the Earth, now changed in its place among the cosmos. The Earth no longer shines with the reflection of a sun. Without its golden halo, it does not appear as the vibrant world once known, but as something smaller, quieter, and dim. In the endless ocean of night, it becomes like a grain of dust drifting in a boundless current. It is not diminished by this, but folded into the vastness, a part of something larger than itself. The loss of its light is also the gift of belonging, for now it moves not as a center, but as a companion. Around it, countless stars glow, with their own fire, each steady and unhurried. Nebulas breathe like soft clouds in the distance. Galaxies swirl with faint radiance. Comets trail like silver threads unraveling in the dark. Within this company, Earth is not alone. It drifts as one among many, no longer marked by its own illumination, but joined to the endless rhythm of the universe. The silence of the night sky is not isolation, but communion, a chorus too vast to measure, too subtle to silence. The planet spins, still faithful to its nature, though no eye can see its turning. Oceans rise and fall, with tides invisible to the stars. Winds wander across continents unseen. Yet this motion, too, is absorbed into the whole. Earth's rotation is no more or less than the spin of a million other spheres, each carrying their own cycles, each turning with patient grace. In this way, Earth becomes part of a greater pattern, a single note in the symphony of celestial motion. Science might describe it as scale the Earth, a small world among billions, circling a sun that has vanished itself within a galaxy among galaxies. But the words fade into something gentler, more like a feeling. To imagine Earth now is to imagine a solitary boat upon an infinite sea, not sailing toward destination, but floating held in the vast water. It is not lost, for the sea itself is the home. It is not silent, for the waves are everywhere, even if they cannot be heard. The image soothes rather than unsettles. Legends told long ago seem to find their place here. Some said the Earth was carried on the back of a cosmic turtle, drifting through the dark waters of the sky. Others believed it was a pearl formed in the mouth of a dragon, glowing faintly as it moved among the stars. Still others whispered that the Earth was once a child of the heavens, let loose to wander so it might learn the vastness of its family. In the quiet of endless night, these images become tender metaphors, not for grandeur, but for the simple truth of belonging to something greater. To the eye of imagination, the Milky Way itself wraps around the planet like a cloak, its countless stars forming a soft garment. Earth is not the wearer, but a thread within the cloth, indistinguishable, yet essential. This thought brings ease to be part of something immeasurable, without needing to shine alone. The earth is small, but not insignificant. It is humble, but not forgotten. It floats within the arms of the universe, as a child might sleep within the arms of a parent unseen yet held. And so, what might seem like loss becomes transformation. No longer lit by its own reflected glow, Earth has entered into a deeper harmony. Its silence is in rhythm with the silence of the void. Its darkness is kin to the darkness between stars. Its path is one among many, neither leading nor lagging, but moving as part of the great unbroken flow. This sense of merging softens the idea of separation, reminding that the universe has never been about one light alone, but about the weaving of countless lights together. To look upon Earth now, if one could stand far enough away, would be to see a dim jewel drifting quietly through the river of stars, not blazing, not commanding, but present steady and calm. Its beauty lies not in dominance, but in its subtlety, the way it joins the chorus without demanding to be heard. For in the end, every star, every planet, every grain of dust contributes to the whole, and none are ever truly alone. The endless night folds Earth into itself, and Earth accepts, becoming simply one more wanderer in the cosmic field. It no longer asks to shine, it simply drifts, and in that drifting finds peace. The thought of this calms the mind, reminding that smallness does not mean absence, and quiet does not mean loss. To be part of the infinite is to be endless, even in fragility. And in this calm surrender, the story flows onward from the merging of Earth with the countless stars toward the final hush, the deep settling of all things into stillness. And from the drifting of Earth among the stars, the story settles into a deeper pause where all motion seems to fade into breath. The world lies quiet, not broken, not vanished, but hushed. Its oceans no longer glitter, its forests no longer sway in morning light, yet they remain still and shadowed. The silence is not empty, but full like the pause between heartbeats, like the moment before sleep claims the body. Earth breathes in this hush, slow and steady, as if it too has surrendered to rest. Mountains stand as silhouettes, dark against a darker sky. Valleys cradle air that is unmoving, neither stirred by warmth nor cooled by dawn. Rivers do not sparkle, yet they continue to flow, hidden under ice, whispering their persistence beneath the surface. The rhythm of the planet, once loud with the music of day and night, softens into a murmur. It is as though the earth itself has closed its eyes. This is not silence as absence, but silence as presence, a presence that lingers wide and gentle, covering every stone and every leaf. Creatures that once sang to the morning or called through the night are now subdued, their voices woven into the greater hush. The world's sound becomes the faint hum of existence itself, so soft that it feels like the echo of breath, and in that echo there is calm. Science would say energy continues, though slowed and hidden. Motion does not cease, for particles still tremble, atoms still whisper their dances. Yet for those who dwell upon the surface, such truths are felt not as facts, but as sensations like the warmth of a blanket that lingers even after the fire has dimmed. The earth is not lifeless, but resting wrapped in a stillness older than memory. To the human heart, this stillness becomes reflection. Life once ruled by the steady return of dawn now becomes a memory, a fading rhythm that echoes faintly in thought. The cycles of day and night, the seasons, the migrations, all dissolve into something softer, like recollections of dreams upon waking. They are not sharp, but blurred, cherished in their gentleness. The world has not forgotten them, but holds them as quiet songs in the dark. Legends come back in such quiet, stories of endings that are not endings of lives that continue beyond sight. Some cultures spoke of a long night at the end of all things not as destruction, but as sleep, a cosmic rest before the next rising. Others told of the stars themselves as guardians keeping watch while the earth slumbered. In the hush of this endless night, these tales are not warnings, but lullabies, soft reminders that even silence has meaning. The mind, too, grows calm in this hush. Without the bright division of hours, thoughts no longer hurry, no longer measure. They drift like dust motes in dim air, circling slowly, content to exist without purpose. Awareness folds into itself, becoming less about action and more about being. To live in such silence is to surrender the urgency of doing and to embrace the simplicity of existing. It is not despair, but ease. Even the stars above seem quieter now, their brilliance no longer dazzling, but steady, patient, eternal. They do not demand attention, but offer presence, a reminder that stillness is also part of the universe's song. The Milky Way, once seen as a rushing river of light, now feels like a blanket holding the earth in its quiet folds. Beneath it, the planet rests small and unshining, yet embraced. To imagine Earth in this way is to imagine a body asleep, its dreams woven from memory and shadow. The forests dream of sunlight, the oceans of reflection, the winds of warmth, yet they do not stir. They lie still, their dreams folded deep within. This image comforts rather than saddens, for it reminds that nothing is ever lost completely, only transformed into another rhythm, slower, softer, more enduring. And so the world lingers in stillness. Each heartbeat slowed, each motion softened, each sound dissolved into hush. Life becomes memory, memory becomes breath, breath becomes silence. The silence is not harsh but tender, carrying with it a sense of belonging to something vast and patient. In this hush, one can almost hear the earth sigh, a sound too quiet for ears, but felt in the heart. It is the sigh of rest, the sigh of being part of an eternal fabric, the sigh of yielding to the greater quiet that holds everything. And in that sigh, there is peace. The story pauses here, in this stillness, where earth rests as though asleep, its rhythm no longer loud, but carried as memory, dissolving softly into the night. And from the hush, where earth lay as a quiet shadow, the story drifts outward again, touching the vastness that holds it. The universe continues unbothered by the loss of one star. Its tides of gravity, its motions of galaxies, its quiet breath of expansion flow on seamless and unbroken. The disappearance of the sun is not an end, but a change, for the cosmos has always been a wheel of births and vanishings. One flame extinguishes, while countless others still burn, and in that continuity there is calm. The universe does not pause, nor does it rush. It simply turns, as it always has, with patience as old as silence itself. The earth is part of this flow, a drifting bead in an endless current. It no longer shines with the reflected gold of daylight, yet it continues its path steady as before. Its orbit may no longer circle a light, but the rhythm of its motion remains tied to the unseen fabric of space. It is as though the earth has joined a river too wide to measure, moving not as an exception, but as one stream among many. In this image, there is serenity, for nothing truly stops everything, only continues, In another form, life too becomes part of this quiet rhythm. Once bright, once loud with color and sound, it now folds into memory, carried like the echo of waves, long after they have reached the shore. Existence does not end, but drifts into gentler shapes, softer states. The earth itself becomes like a dream within the universe, held but not loud, present but not demanding. Dreams may fade, yet they also remain woven into the fabric of memory. The planet becomes such a dream suspended in the vastness, tender and quiet. To imagine it so is not to imagine loss, but transformation. The green of forests, the glitter of seas, the songs of creatures, all of it becomes like the foam of a wave dissolving into ocean. The wave is gone, but the water is still there, spread wide, continuing without end. Earth's story is a ripple upon the eternal sea, small but not meaningless, fading, but never erased. In this there is peace. Science would say energy is never destroyed, only changed, and in this stillness, that truth feels like comfort. The energy of light becomes warmth, the warmth becomes motion, the motion becomes silence. Each state passes gently into the next, without alarm, without violence, like the slow turning of a page. Life, too, is part of this exchange, vibrant in one moment, subtle in another, always shifting, always flowing. The earth as dream is only one form of this current. Legends speak of such dreams. Some told that the world itself was born of a dream imagined by gods or spirits before it became stone and ocean. Others whispered that the earth would one day return to dream, dissolving softly into the memory of the cosmos. In this endless night, such myths feel like reflections of truth, not as explanations but as gentle metaphors. To think of earth as dream is to soothe the heart, to remind that nothing is lost in sleep, only transformed. And even in dream, traces remain. The sun may no longer shine, but its presence endures as memory, in stone and water, in the very shapes of life. Rocks hold the warmth of ages past, etched with patterns left by light. Oceans still carry the glow of a star, once above them, their waves remembering the shimmer of dawn. Trees and plants, though now silent, carry within them the record of photosynthesis, the quiet evidence of their long conversation with the sun. Each trace is like an imprint of warmth upon the world, subtle but lasting. These imprints form the memory of light. The earth carries them, even when the source has gone, as a body carries scars, or as a heart carries echoes of love long past. The memory is not bright, but tender. It speaks of connection, of what once was and still lingers. The sun is absent, but its story is inscribed everywhere, written in quiet language across matter itself. To look upon stone, upon sea, upon leaf, is to read these inscriptions soft and enduring. And so, the earth drifts not lit, but remembered, not blazing, but carried as part of a greater rhythm. The universe continues. Its unbroken flow, earth rests as a dream within it, and the memory of light remains like perfume after the flower is gone. Nothing is forgotten. Nothing is erased. It all becomes part of the infinite, turning calm and unending. And from this memory, the story leans gently onward toward the whispers of the cosmos itself, where silence is not emptiness, but the eternal voice of time. And from the memory of light, the story leans further outward into the hush, where the universe itself seems to breathe. The cosmos does not judge the earth for its silence, nor mourn the absence of its sun. It only holds wide and patient, as it has always held every drifting world. In the vastness, the planet is neither greater nor lesser, but embraced, folded into a rhythm without haste. The universe whispers, not with words, but with stillness, a voice too gentle for ears, yet felt in the heart like a tide. This whisper feels like reassurance, as though the night itself is saying that nothing is alone and nothing is ever lost. It is the quiet knowledge that all things return, not in the same form, but in continuity. Stars flare, fade, and flare again. Galaxies wheel in arcs unseen, and all of it moves in cycles that are endless. To lie within this rhythm is to rest, not with fear, but with trust. Ancient people once dreamed of such rhythms. In India, it was said the universe is only the breath of a great being inhaling and exhaling in silence across eternity. Each breath is an age, each pause a rest, yet always the breathing continues. The image is simple, yet soothing creation and dissolution, as nothing more than the rise and fall of a chest in sleep. To hear this story now is to imagine the cosmos itself breathing around the earth, holding it within the calm of an infinite exhale. The earth rests within this breath, its motion slowed into the cadence of the universe. It no longer shines with its own reflection, but it does not need to. It is carried gently as part of a fabric too wide to fray. This belonging is quiet but complete. To drift in this way is to surrender the urge to move quickly, to release the need for division, to allow existence itself to become a lullaby. And so, the listener too drifts. As the story settles, the self feels smaller, but lighter, no longer bound by urgency. The body lies still, yet the mind floats, following the earth into shadow without resistance. Thought loosens its grip, memory softens into haze, and everything that was heavy becomes less so. It is as if the night has stretched out its hand, and all that remains is to take it. There is no ending here, no sharp closing of the tale, only a return slow and natural into stillness. The earth, the listener, the universe itself, all rest within the same quiet. No boundaries, no conclusions, only continuation. It is a silence that feels like safety, a darkness that feels like embrace. And in this embrace, the story yields to quiet, leaving only the sense of drifting, of belonging, of being carried without effort. The earth moves on. The stars shine on. The listener breathes on, all within the same unbroken calm.